Magandang umaga po mga kaibigan. Tayo po magkakasama sa ating Tapatan sa Aristocrat. And today, we will be talking about the impact of the pandemic sa ating po namang productivity ng ating mga manggagawa. Sila ba ay takot magtrabaho? Sila ba ay gustong magtrabaho pero hirapan sila dahilan sa may restrictions ang pamahalaan? We will get our guests to say their initial statement para po naman sa ating mga kababayan, yung ating opening statements from our guests. And we're happy to have with us our guests, sina Madam Roda Kaliwara. Siya po naman ay mula sa PALSCON. Ito pong PALSCON ay Philippine Association of Labor Service Contractors. Si Ginoong Anton Sayo ay mula po naman sa Employers Confederation of the Philippines. Si Ginoong Sergio Ortiz Luis ay kasama natin mula po naman sa Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Ganun din si Attorney Sani Matula na siya po namang chair na nagkaisa at presidente ng Federation of Free Workers. At narito rin si Dr. Joan Mary Farial, isang psychiatrist at dating Public Relations Officer ng Philippine Psychiatric Association. We're joined by Mr. Jess Varela of the International Chamber of Commerce, Philippines. And of course, another good friend, Butch Guerrero, who will share with us their views. Let's start with Roda Kaliwara. Anong naging impact ng ating po naman pandemic sa paggawa? Please go ahead.
There. Unmute ko muna. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sir Mel. And thank you for inviting me to be in this panel in your Tapatan sa Aristocrat. It's such an honor na makasama ko in this virtual interactive show ang mga distinguished gentlemen. Of course, naninirespeto ko. Of course, sa pangunguna ni Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis, ang president ng ECOF, Mr. Anton Sayo, Attorney Sani, Mr. Jess Varela, Sir Butch, nandito rin. At sa unang pagkakataon na makilala ko si Dr. Joan. And to everyone, magandang umaga po. Okay, if I may say, Sir Mel, ang PALSCON stands for Philippine Association of Legitimate Service Contractors. Nawala na po yung LE stands for legitimate.
Okay.
Labor.
Okay. Right. I stand corrected. So meron palang illegitimate.
Yes, oo. Nakaset apart, di ba, ang mga taga PALSCON from the hindi ko nababanggitin. All right. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. While there are several, of course, mga managerial concerns sa telecommuting, like difficulty of managing people, they cannot see. Di ba? Isa yan sa mga concerns natin. Yung security risk, dahil siyempre yung mga data natin, difficulty of having to learn new technologies. Some employees may decrease yung moral nila, di ba? And also, merong difficulty in interacting and communicating. Tapos, ano pa ba? Ensuring productivity, as you mentioned, difficulty in monitoring. Communication and decision-making are easier pa rin when employees are in the workplace. Pero on the other side, yung mga challenges and gaps naman on the side ng mga workers are the following. Like for example, limited access to information, expenses daw to some, not shouldered by the employer. No work-life balance, decreased income, distractions, marami yan. Siyempre yung mga nagluluto, mga nanay, yung mga nag-aalaga, yung mga ibang responsibilities pa interfering with work. Tapos less physical and social interaction, yung feeling of isolation ba. Tapos yung mga inconveniences sa kanilang workplace. Pero we employers and employees alike have no choice at this time but to adapt to the demands of the new normal. So we understand that because of the increasing number of COVID-19 cases in the country, syempre yung health and safety protocol should always be the priority. So there's really a need to regulate yung mobility. Now, speaking of productivity ng mga workers, it should not be measured ng mga how many hours they spend in the office or in the company premises. Yes, we cannot monitor them, but we can always, di ba, set a goal, targets, mga expectations that we could review later on. Ito bang mga goals na to were accomplished? Ito bang mga targets na to were achieved? Ito bang mga expectations na to were met? Di ba? And at the same time, we can also probably use this time to train the workers na i-reskill sila and upskill them. Then, kapag nagawa natin to, they will be more responsible and more productive. Yun po ang point ko dito, Sir Mel.
Okay, thank you. Magtungo tayo kay kaibigang Anton Sayo. Mr. Sayo, how do you look at these concerns that we have today? Paki-unmute lang, Anton. Hello? Yan. Konti pa. Paki-unmute lang.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much. As usual, see, Roda always gives a good framework for discussion after you. So we appreciate that. Yeah, marami tayong feedback na nakukuha sa mga kumpanya, guidelines on how to handle work-life balances. Some are very concerned that people are in fact being worked to the hilt. No? And how does that impact on incomes and how the psychological pressures step in. Our job or one of the things that we're looking at is look at the best practices at the micro level and see how this is followed in the other companies to see if there is some sort of a sectoral nature that also impacts on the others, not to see if there's uniformity enough for us to be able to come up with some policy suggestions. No? One of the things that always come out is the fact that the government support structure is very important. No? And ang lumalabas nga out of the 1,600 plus municipalities, only about 30% have online services. No? So if we one of the bright spots that we're having now is a lot of people getting into entrepreneurial activities, and they should be given a leeway to formalizing what they're doing. No? For example, in a lot of villages, a lot of households get into their expertise in all sorts of food products. And alam mo naman, talagang dapat may control dyan. BIFAD is very clear about this. Yung license to operate is very important. But how do you now have those licenses done? No? So those are the things that we have to address, legitimizing certain activities that impact on not only on jobs and income, but on the market.
Okay. I've seen malls open, but problema, wala namang namimili except for groceries, no? Yun ang sitwasyon. Okay. Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr., coming from your group, how do you look at the conditions today?
Well, kami, alam naman ng lahat, gusto ko lang batiin yung mga kasama ko, lahat na to hindi lang kapakanan ng ika ng ekonomiya ang tinitingnan at mga kumpanya. Lahat kami tinitingnan namin kapakanan ng empleyado rin. Alam ni Mr. Sunny Matula yan na kami magkakasama, lahat kami, si Jess Barela, si Perry Ferrer, si Roda, si Anton, lahat kami, ang tinitingnan namin talaga yung kapakanan ng mga empleyado para makapagtrabaho. Yan ang isang hinaing namin. Kung bakit hanggang ngayon, pinipilit pa natin na paasahin yung mga empleyado na papasok, pwede naman pumasok. Nag-ECQ pa tayo, nag-ano pa tayo, meron pa mga hindi pumasok. Sabi nga natin, sabi mo nga, bakit magbubukas ng mall kung walang
mamimili?
Sabi nga namin, kaya yung mga ideya na hihiwalay mo yung mga bakunado sa hindi bakunado, pati sa sasakyan, it doesn't work. Because kaya mo binubuksan para yung mga empleyado makapasok. Pag hihiwalayin mo, problema na kayo namimili, ang bakunado iilan pa lang. Ba't pa magbubukas yung mga tindahan kung ang papasok lang yung bakunado? At paano naman yung sasakyan, paghihiwalayin mo, yung bakunado, may problema na nga sa sasakyan, gagawin mo pang dalawa yung pila, at gagawin mo pang lalong mahirap, lalo hindi makakapasok yung mga tao. Kaya sinasabi namin, ang problema, hindi yung babakunahan, ang problema yung bakuna. Hanggang hindi tayo nakapagbabakuna ng marami, huwag na natin isipin muna yung mga yan. Pangalawa, alam naman natin na hindi naman 100% sure na pag nabakunahan, hindi ka mahahawa at hindi ka makakahawa. Bakit mo pa pahihirapin yung pagsasama-samahin mo yung lahat yung malakas makahawa at sa hindi makahawa, lahat naman yung nakakahawa at mahahawahan. So, ang importante, padaliin natin ang mga tao makapasok at makapagtrabaho hanggang maaari. Hindi naman po pwedeng after 1.5 years na napakabasuluri ng mga Pilipino sa lockdown na yan. Sa buong mundo, pinakamahaba ng lockdown natin. Sa buong mundo, tayo lang yung sumusunod sa face mask, may face shield pa. No? Tapos, ang mga problema, yung nagpapasunod. Bakit hindi nila maayos yan? Traffic. Ang traffic natin ngayon, despite na wala pumapasok ng tao na eskwela, kulang pumapasok na nagtatrabaho, bakit ang traffic natin parang traffic sa December? Tapos yung ala namang masakyan yung mga tao. Bakit ganon? Iyan ba, ano ba yan? Rocket science ba yan? Hindi ba, obviously, dumami ang sasakyan, lumakas ang benta ng mga sasakyan dahil walang mass transportation. Lahat ng sasakyan na pwedeng lumabas, lumalabas, isa-isa lang ang laman yan, at tapos pati yung mga hindi roadworthy, lumalabas, nasisira sa dahil walang masakyan. Ang tagal na namin sinasabi. Noong isang taon, sumulat pa kami na hintuan na yan pagyayabang ng ano-anong project. Ang importante, yung sa Manila, papasukin mo lahat yung lahat ng dapat na makapasok na mga sasakyan, at yan man, kulang pa rin dahil sa social sa spacing. Bakit hindi nila masolve? Sinosolve yung modernization ng jeep, sinosolve yung modernization ng truck, sinosolve kung ano lipat-lipat doon sa EDSA, ang dadaan, binuksan ng Skyway ng San Miguel, at ang daming binubuksan nadinig ko nga isang beses si Elmer Lamog ng KMU, sabi niya, ano ba naman kaya mga project na pinagyayabang nila, hindi naman makakain yan, ang kailangan namin sasakyan. Yun ang sinasabi namin. May mga problema na hindi nasosolve. Pangalawa, yun nga, sinulat din namin last year pa na huwag pabayaan na hindi na yung mga hospital kailangan tuloy-tuloy ang pagdagdag ng kwarto dahil pag nagkaroon ng surge. Huwag din pabayaan na yung mga frontliners natin hindi maalagaan. Ano nangyari nung nagano tayo nung March, nung isang ECQ natin, di ba ilang araw lang overwhelmed yung hospital system natin, may namamatay na sa labas ng hospital, may nanganganak kalye. Yun ang sinasabi namin, yung mga ayusin nila yon para hindi na kailangang magla-lockdown.
Okay, maganda yung sinabi niyo, yung rocket science, pero hindi ko alam kung ano spelling ng rocket science mo, yung ba R-A-C-K-E-T, yung rocket. Hindi ko alam kung yun ang ibig mong sabihin.
Yung rocket ko yung gano'n.
Yung lumilipad. Okay, mabuti na niliwanag nyo dahil akala ko yun ang ibig nyo sabihin. Attorney Sunny Matula, mula sa hanay ng manggagawa, anong tingin ninyo sa nagaganap ngayon?
Siyempre, yung mga lockdown, ECQ man yan o MCEQ o anong Q man yan ay kaapektuhan yung mga manggagawa. So kung ECQ talaga at saka itong MECQ, marami talagang mga manggagawa na hindi nakapasok kasi marami sa kanila ang tawag nila ay non-essential. Kung paano yan i-define ay sila nakakaalam lang. Totoo na bumabagsak din yung productivity sa kasalukuyan dahil hindi nga makapasok yung maraming mga manggagawa sa trabaho. kumpara nung 20, ang pinakamataas ata natin nung 2017, mataas yung productivity, umabot ata ng 9.04. At yung productivity measure nung December 2020 ay dumating ata sa negative 6 o eksakto ata 5.57. So bumaba talaga dahil dito sa pandemic na nangyayari. Kaya tama yung sinasabi ni Commissioner Serge Ortiz, kasama ko kasi si June sa Social Security Commission 12 years ago. ano, na siyempre yung dapat sana magkonsulta man lang o kung di nila alam no ano ang nangyari sa baba. Sa kasalukuyan ay nakikita namin na yung mga manggagawa lalong-lalo na ay isolated sa decision making ng pamahalaan. Although may
Okay.
mga konsultasyon na nangyayari, ay mga peripheral na konsultasyon at wala masyadong impact sa buhay ng mga manggagawa.
Sani,
Thank you.
maitanong ko sa iyo, Sani, bakit dito sa kinukwento mo hinagpis ng manggagawa, 90% pa raw ng mga Pilipino ang naniniwala maganda ginagawa ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte.
Hindi ko alam kung sino ang tinanong nila niyan. So, pero sa kuyan, yung lalo-lalo na yung mga manggagawa na may trade union ay nakikita na kulang yung ginagawa ng ating pamahalaan. Yung aming panawagan na mabilisan na pagbakuna sana, napaka-importante noon para makabalik sa trabaho yung mga manggagawa ay sa kasalukuyan atay malapit na magdadalawang taon ay ang nababakunahan at hindi pa aabot o mga 10% pa lamang ng ating mga mamamayan. So kulang na kulang yan sa gustong mabakunahan ng ating pamahalaan.
Okay, bago tayo magtungo kay Dr. Joanne, sandali lang. Jess Varela ng International Chamber of Commerce. How would you compare our plight in the Philippines with other ASEAN countries? Yes?
Alam mo, ay magandang umaga sa lahat ng mga aking mga kasama dyan at mga panauhin mo, Melo. Magandang umaga rin sa iyo. No, alam mo, napapansin namin lahat ng mga suliranin ay pare-pareho. Sa katunayan nga, nahihirapan din lalo na yung mga Western countries, hirap din, and they're supposed to be equipped with vaccines, at hirap din sa tulad ng Australia, dito nasa Asia Pacific yung Australia, nagla-lockdown pa rin sila, isa lang gusto kong sabihin na pag nakikita natin na ang hanay ng manggagawa, pati na ang hanay ng mga employer ay nagsasama ukol sa isang issue, dapat nakikinig ang pamahalaan. Kasi hindi naman laging nagkakaroon ng matindi at na samahan yung dalawang yan, kung hindi napaka-importante. At ito yung tungkol sa lockdown. Makikita mo yung mga union, pati yung mga nasa kaliwa, lumalapit sa amin yan para pagbigay alam na kailangan itigil na raw yung lockdown at sila'y nahihirapan. Dahil nabanggit ko sa Australia, pag nag-lockdown ng Australia, ginagawa nila yung pagkakataon ng lockdown ng mga measures na tulad i-increase sila ng mga testing nila, nag-i-increase sila ng kanilang vaccination, at yung mga lumalabag, pinapatawa nila ng mga mahigpit na mga penalties. As a matter of fact, yung mga pag-lockdown doon, pag ikaw lumabas doon, $5,000 fine ka.
Wala tayong problema noon dahil wala tayong $5,000 na imumulta.
No, but then you can look at the way they take advantage of a lockdown. Tayo, nakailan lockdown tayo, ang ating sistema pare-pareho at hindi nakikita natututo. Ang nilarason lang, napupuno ang mga hospital. Yung mga facilities kumukulang. Isang taon na, bakit hindi natin binuhos doon? Kung ano-ano ang ginawa natin. Patuloy pa rin yung parehong mga measures kung if they are not working, no matter how many lockdowns we do, no, they will not work. They will not
Okay.
work.
Okay. Yeah. Tuwang-tuwa ako pag nanonood ako kay Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa kanyang talk to the people. Okay na sana, kaya lang nauunahan ng mga report ni na Secretary Arthur Tugade kung ano yung kanyang nagawa sa transport na sinasabi, pwede ka nga maging senador. Eh magaling pala sa executive, ba't mo ihahalal na senador yan? Yung ba ay ginagawa para ma-soft sell yung pagkatao ng kanyang mga kandidato? Yes.
Alam mo, Melo, kasama na yun sa PR eh. Siyempre, kahit pa paano, nagko-cover mo yung mga weaknesses eh. No? While you know, there is some truth, no, to some accomplishments. But hindi yun ang kwan eh. It's not the order of the day. It's not the order of the day. Ang order of the day is how we combat COVID-19. No?
Okay.
Nauuna yung kwan eh, alibay. No? Kaya ikaw naman nasa media ka, alam mo naman yung sistema ng PR. Ganun lang yun. Pero sa akin, natural na yun.
Babalikan ko lang yung kasaysayan ng tawag ng tanghalan. Matanda na kasi ako eh. Si the late Diomedes Maturan may not have been a good singer, but he won because of perfect timing. So what you're saying is, mali yung timing ng pagtutulak ng kandidatura nitong mga taong ito na nasa gobyerno. Ganun ba yun?
Well, kanina sinabi mo, nagtataka ka at bakit marami pa rin sumusuporta, no? Iyan ang katotohanan. Katotohanan medyo malakas pa ang suporta kaya madaling mag-advertise, no? Kasi maraming nakikinig eh, no? Doon sa mga yung tinatawag nilang DDS, saradong-sarado yan. Saradong-sarado yan sa at yan ina-advertise sila. Ito ginagawa namin. Tama. Wala na nagsasabi na hindi naman maganda yung ginagawa. At natural yan eh. Gobyerno ka eh. Kailangan pagpatuloy mo gawin yan. Pero pinag-uusapan natin ngayon ang pandemya.
Okay.
No? Kasi pati yung mga ginagawa mo, maaapektuhan yan. No? Tulad yung pagtuloy-tuloy ang lockdown, paano mapapatuloy yung mga construction, yung mga build mo. No? Tuloy yan eh. Kasi governance is such a wide, malawak ang kanyang pagtingin at paggawa sa mga iba't ibang mga aktibidad. Pero ang tutok natin ngayon, pandemya.
Yeah.
Hindi sinasabi porque tinututukan mo to, kakalimutan mo tong iba. Tuloy mo yan, gobyerno ka eh. No?
That is expected of the government.
It is expected.
Yeah.
It is expected. And we salute them for doing it. No? Tama yon. Pero wag mong kaligtaan na gagamitin mo to para pagtakpan ng ilang pagkakamali. Kailangan ayusin natin. No, magdadalawang taon na to. Ano ang mga measures ginagawa natin? Lockdown. That's it. No? Na-ramp up ba natin yung ating testing? No? Isolation, treatment. Hindi eh. Gagawin natin, kanina pinag-uusapan natin ng work from home. Tulad ngayon, yung mula nung isang taon, yung isang opisina namin na alam mo, no? Work from home yan kasi IT-based. No? Pero nagkakaroon ng COVID yung mga naka-work from home. No, hindi mo na monitor kung anong pinagagawa except yung mga pinagagawa mo lang.
Okay.
No? Pero nagkaka-COVID pa rin sila eh. Nagkaka-COVID pa rin sila kahit nasa bahay sila. Ano gagawin natin? Ano ibig sabihin nun?
Okay.
No? One, hindi. Alam mo, totoo naman eh. Makikita mo sa ibang bansa, pag sinabi nilang ganito, ang health protocols, karamihan sumusunod. Marami sa atin hindi rin sumusunod eh. Alam mo, it's marami rin pasaway na Pilipino na hindi matututo gumamit ng mask, kaya hindi na pag-rapan. Alam mo, kung lumalakad ako, nagyayaya madalas ito sina Mr. Ortiz mag-golf sa East Ridge, dadaan ka dun sa mga ibang mga palengke, yung mga market doon, nakikita mo mga tao, naka-face mask hanggang dito. Hanggang ngayon.
Okay.
Hanggang ngayon. No? So, maraming factors no? But then, governance is, we'll have to impose certain things. Ano ba tayo? Di ba public health emergency? Pag public health emergency, talaga dito mo gamitin ang iyong lakas at poder. No? Magagalit man tayo o mga manggagawa, pero it's a public health emergency.
Okay. All right.
Tirahin mo.
Maganda yon. Pero nais ko lang batiin yung mga nanonood sa atin. Si Jocelyn D is watching us from New York. Tapos si Malu Mariano is watching from California. Ganun din po naman si Rosie Paula Cantara is watching from Jeddah. At marami pang iba. Okay. Bago ako magtungo kay Butch Guerrero, Dr. Joanne Rifalreal, ano po ang tingin ninyo sa nagaganap ngayon? Are we driving people nuts, so to speak?
Hello. Yes. Good morning po, Sir Melo. And of course, good morning po sa lahat in the panel today. Good morning po. Really an honor and a privilege to join you. Sir Melo, very timely talaga po and relevant yung discussion for this morning. In fact po, maraming studies na have been done on this particular po na topic. No? And it looked into the productivity and the effects on mental health also of doing work from home or remote work during this time of pandemic. In fact, ang mga results po from these studies would show mixed results. Mixed po siya. So, but more or less po, medyo po, ang majority are into the productive pa rin. Nagiging productive pa rin po ang work from home. Some maintain siya. There's no significant difference from pre-pandemic to now, this transition to remote work. And yung iba naman po, they showed na, yeah, initially there was that difficulty and challenge with the transition. Specifically po, ang age group na tinukoy nila na medyo nahirapan with the transition are those in the Gen Z, Gen Z and the millennials who are currently working kasi they need more supervision compared to sa mga boss levels, mga managers na kayang-kaya na nila to do work from home or remote work anytime. So, ang mga younger generations, they need more supervision for them to feel more productive. So again, it's an interplay. Itong mga results kasi na to, which showed good pa rin ang productivity or steady, it's an interplay. We always look at it as an interplay of a lot of factors, be it personal, the attitude, discipline, mindset of the employee. Of course, also po yung physical environment, no? Kasi kasama yon sa mga crucial din na factors now for one to be productive in the home, no? Specifically the other roles, if the individual wears several hats. And ang pinaka din po, the common results from these studies po on productivity and mental health outcomes would be ang pinaka bottom line is always the emphasis on collaboration, communication between the office or the employers and the employees. So collaboration really is very important as we move forward. Kasi moving forward kasi we may use these strategies now, itong collaborative effort, communication to help, no? It help one another in terms of moving forward kahit na after pandemic, and then adjustments can be made. But what is also important is nakikita doon na even the Gen Z and millennials who had struggles early on with the transition, slowly then through time, yung mga longitudinal studies show that they were also able to adapt. So that ano pa rin, no? That trait of being able to adapt, to adjust is also there. So that is also a strength po, and the employers can use that strength. Yes po. Yes, Sir Melo.
Okay. Pero given such a situation, is it too significant to see changes in the mindset of these people?
Ang mindset kasi, Sir Melo, talagang part siya. It's an inherent quality of an individual. So what's also important is aside from the attitude, the discipline, no? Kasi ang iba talaga, ang mindset nila is they bumabangon sila every morning kahit na it's challenging, it's difficult. Because the work gives them that meaning and purpose to their lives, to what they are doing. They find meaning and joy. So kahit nasaan mo sila i-place, no, be it in the physical offices or the home, the mindset is based on that, no, yung finding that joy, purpose, meaning in what they are doing and how they're able to serve the office, the company, the community in general. But of course, kasama na rin doon, of course, no, again, that collaboration was always emphasized kasi that yung strength kasi din siya na we need also to bank on, no? Yung collaboration between the employer to check in regularly, mga kamustahan is really very important for them to also feel appreciated during this time, to make them feel secured. Kasi ngayon, during this time of uncertainty, a lot of maraming uncertainty about the outcome of this pandemic, etc. Ang mga individuals talagang there is that fear. So yun yung isa sa mga the mental health concerns would be the stress. Of course, stress is normal. Stress
Yes,
is a
of
normal
course.
part of life. But, Sir Melo, if it persists, pagpatuloy po ito at hindi kaagad siya nahahandle or naaagapan, it may lead to burnout in the workplace. So, meaning burnout even in the home. So that's why it's really important for the employers, also for the management to regularly check in on their people, no, on their teams. Checking in is very important for them to feel that they are valued, appreciated, and safe. Kasi safety pa rin ang isa sa mga fear ngayon. Of course, there is that uncertainty of a company downsizing, economics, the financial status, kung may trabaho pa ba sila. So that's why really there is that emphasis now on collaborative efforts between the employers and the employees.
Okay. Merong mga nagtatrabaho from home, no? Yung nasa IT companies. By the way, we also invited ITBAP to join us, but they declined because the invitation was very late, no? We also invited Joey Concepcion, the presidential advisor para sa entrepreneurship, but we didn't get any feedback. Probably he's busy advising the president, but that's okay. No problem. Pero I came across a problem brought about by somebody working at an IT company, working from home. Lalabas na siya by 6 o'clock, pero by 5 o'clock nawalan ng kuryente at nawalan pa ng internet. To the fact na apektado yung kanyang performance. So how would you recommend that? How would you look at it? Paano siya makakapag-adjust?
Yes, is it for me, Sir Melo?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That is a very understandable situation. Talaga it can happen even kung hindi po sa employees, it can also happen to any one of us, kahit sa mga students. That is kasi di ba po I also teach, no? So that is really a problem ngayon. And that's why po kung ganito, it may cause some stress to that individual, to that IT person. Again, wag matakot po. Again, stress can always happen. It's a natural it's a natural feeling na we get stressed, we get overwhelmed by all of these emotions. Siguro mga what ifs, ang daming fear na baka mapagalitan or madelay in the submission of his job. But of course, let's always remember there are things na especially during this time of pandemic which are beyond our control. Beyond our control yon. Kasi if we focus on that, talagang it will be overwhelming for us if we focus on the things beyond our control. Wala tayong control over the stability of the internet, the Wi-Fi now. So what we really advise is to focus on the things which are within our control. So for example, ganito kay IT person, ano ba yung mga things which are under his control? Kasi again, wala siyang control over the stability of the Wi-Fi. Then, baka under his control yon, he can communicate, message his boss, na boss, I'm really having difficulty now. Please, give me time lang po while we are fixing lang po our connection now. So, talk to your boss or siguro ask for help, no? Now talaga, during this time of pandemic, this is the time to really help one another. Reach out if you feel that you really need to ask for help. It doesn't mean na it's a sign of a weakness of one's character if we reach out and ask for help during this time. Kasi now more than ever, ito talaga yung walang iwanan. We always emphasize that na walang iwanan. We are all in this pandemic together, and we know that a lot of things are beyond our control. So let's focus on the things which are within our control and take it one day at a time lang, para we do not feel too overwhelmed by the what ifs for the next few days or weeks.
Okay, thank you. We'd like to acknowledge students from the BA Broadcasting of Laguna State Polytechnic University in Santa Cruz, Laguna. Sila ay merong alternative internship sa broadcasting students na hindi makakuha ng pagtatrabahuhan sa kanilang OJT sapagkat walang tumanggap dahilan sa takot sa COVID. Mr. Butch Guerrero, what are your thoughts about what's going on? Butch?
Hi, good morning, Melo.
Morning.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, lalong-lalo na kay Mr. Ortiz, kay Madam Kadiwara, and sa chairman na nagkaisa si Sani Matula, at sa kasamahan kong si Anton and Jess Varela, at sa lahat ng nakikinig. Hindi ko alam na magsasalita ako ngayon, but anyway, I want to keep it short and simple.
Nakita kita. Sayang naman yung pagkakataon.
Thank you, Melo. And I just want to focus on the numbers, okay? Because as business people, we make decisions based on the numbers, okay? Number one, may sinabi si Sani Matula, hindi niya alam kung saan nanggagaling yung 91% agreement sa leadership ngayon. Hindi ho namin alam kung saan nanggagaling ang if I may, yung dami ng positive cases. Kasi syempre, mas maraming tinetest, mas maraming magpa-positive. There should be a scientific basis on sampling. Like if you test everybody or a specific random sampling test, then makikita mo kung ilan ang positive ng percentage sa population. Ang nangyayari, pag dumadami ang tinetest, syempre dumadami ang nagpa-positive. Ulitin ko, pag dumadami ang testing, dumadami ang nagpa-positive. Obviously, okay? So it does not represent the spread of COVID-19. Okay? So ito yung palaging sinasabi ni Mr. Ortiz, ni President Sol, na I think the numbers are sensationalized.
Okay.
3, we need to find out where the numbers are coming from. Marami kasing mga social weather stations, research groups na kumakalat ngayon, and hindi lang sa health issues or sa pagtaas ng COVID, pati sa popularity research, lumalabas sila. So ano ba talaga sila? Are they really researching or kumukuha lang ng consultants from different schools like UP? Okay. I've studied in the university for 16 years, three generations, and the University of the Philippines disowned this group. I'm not going to mention names, Melo, but I question where the numbers are coming from and what's happening. Katulad ng sinabi ni Presol, na there is a problem with transportation. And let's analyze the numbers, and I want to keep it short. COVID for the past 2 years during this pandemic is only number 6 as the leading cause of death in the Philippines. Number 1 are heart attacks and ischemic attacks, followed by tumors. And 3rd by vehicular accidents, 4th by other diseases. Pang-anim lang po ang COVID-19. And yet, one lockdown in a week, we are losing 150 billion pesos of unearned revenues. Ayoko namang ilagay sa monetary consideration kasi ang buhay talaga ng tao napaka-importante. And I've lost friends due to COVID. But aren't we not analyzing the numbers? Kasi it does not add up eh. Popularity rating, not representative of the sample sizes. COVID is not the leading cause of death. Cause of death among positive is less than 2%. Is it enough to lock down the economy? I know we have to follow protocols and procedures, but maybe, I may be wrong. We are approaching a health issue with militaristic solutions. Doon lang po.
Okay.
So, I will end on that. I just want to say that we need to study the numbers because currently when I look at it, they don't add up. Maraming salamat, Melo.
Thank you. Alam mo, sa dinami-dami ng czar, meron kang contact tracing czar, meron kang vaccine czar, meron kang testing czar. Pero yung Ho Chi Minh City, nag-test sila ng 9.5 million residents. No? Ano na ba yung sa Pilipinas natin, Nazar? May nagkwento nga sa akin, baka raw charot yun eh. Pero ayoko namang maniwala, no? Na charot yung testing czar. Anyway, that's another issue. Pero babalikan natin. Sabi nga ni Roda, hindi mo pwedeng i-gauge yung productivity dahilan sa may sitwasyon tayong kakaiba. Roda, so anong kinabukasan ng nakikita natin ngayon?
Mel, alam mo, ako, ang hope ko na lang at ang prayer ko is yung wag gamitin ang sitwasyon sa politika. Okay, while I understand na okay, it's so hard na i-balance talaga yung between life at saka livelihood. Napakahirap. Okay, gumawa ng desisyon. And I just hope then na lahat ng mga binibigay nila ngayon mga desisyon, yung mga pinapatupad nila ngayon are well thought of and well prayed for. As I said, hindi na sana gamitin ang sitwasyon sa politika dahil ang dami na, well, nabanggit ni Butch na number 6 lang ang COVID sa mga causes ng death, right? Pero alam mo yon, masakit din para sa mga pamilya nung mga namamatay ng dahil sa COVID. You know what I mean? Just recently, eto lang, the other day, wala akong mapaglagyan ng hospital sa isang tao na malapit sa akin. Tumawag na kami sa LGU, tumawag sa lahat ng hospitals, halos no available na facilities. And then pinuntahan siya ng LGU, hindi siya sabi for referral, and yet hindi binalikan hanggang sa namatay na yung tao. Alam mo yun, sana yun ang mga tignan nila. Ano pa ba ang pwede nating magawa sa sitwasyon ngayon dahil dumadami na rin ang namamatay. Mm-hmm. At yan for sure, sabi mo nga rin Butch na marami ka na rin kakilala na nawawala because of COVID. So yun lang ang hope ko at ang prayer ko, wag gamitin yung sitwasyon sa politika. At tignan na lang kung paano masosolve tong problema ngayon.
Nako, maiiwasan kaya yun. Ultimong pagbabakuna, may mukha noong politiko eh. Yung isang problema ron eh.
At saka Mel, sana ang isipin na lang ng mga tao, we have limited na time dito sa mundo. Ano nga, kagaya ng nabanggit ni Dr. Joanna kanina, na yung purpose, lagyan na lang ng meaning ang mga buhay natin para makapag-focus tayo na sa mga solusyon, sa mga countermeasures sa na nararanasan natin ngayon.
Okay. Anton, from your end, what's your take? May politika pa ba nangyayari?
Yeah, alam mo, yung sa PCCI, tinuloy pa rin yung mga ano namin, no, yung mga programs namin despite the pandemic, no, yung mga awards, no. So for example, yung Intellectual Property Awards namin, which covers innovations, may mga premyo yan, etc. No? And every year, pagka-announce namin, mga 20 entries kagad within 2 months, no. So ngayon madalang yung pumapasok. So I started calling. This is about industry and education interface, no. So nung tinanong ko na sila bakit hindi pa pumapasok, sabi nila ang mga records namin nasa university, yung I need to collaborate with the other departments. No? Kasi ito, we're talking about patentable products. No? So, hindi sila maka-access. So, yan ang tingin kong kailangan kasi karamihan sa kanila may problema sa internet availability. So yun ang gusto namin i-stress sa digital transformation, basic yun. So, yung mga eskwela natin, when we call them people from UP, from Mapo, ayan yung mga madalas magpadala, even from Batangas State University, yun ang nila. Ang problema, kailangan natin mag-create talaga ng modules or silos, especially companies, na pwedeng mag-collaborate ang mga tao. Kasi ang problema nga, may mga functions tayo, meron tayong mga competencies na kailangan ng collaboration. Mukhang hindi natutugunan yan. Even something as basic as developing a product is not being done by the simple case of not having collaborative efforts in place. Ilang meron tingin ko kailangan tingnan yon. At yun nga, kasama na rin yun sa hindi dapat mabahiran ng politika. Yung for example, yung sa ating Mandanas ruling where more resources are being given to the local government units, some of those must go to the MSMEs and to the public universities for them to be able to continue enhancing their online courses.
Okay.
Love, no?
Opo,
Kiresh.
yes. Please, go ahead.
Merong isang bisitang medyo nahuling pumasok. Siya pa naman yung in charge do sa 1 million jobs na i-create, si Mr. Perry Ferrer. Hindi mo siguro napasin.
Oo.
At siya pa pala, si Mr. Joy Concepcion, kasabay ng 9 o'clock, yung town hall meeting niya with the AITF, yung mayors, tsaka OCTA. Kaya hindi siya nakarating sa iyo.
Okay. Sana sumagot man lang. Pero okay na yun. Wala naman problema. Sa dami ng mga guests natin. Masaya na ako dyan. Perry, mangyayari pa ba yung 1 million jobs?
Yes, magandang umaga to my colleagues and also to the guests and to Mr. Acuña Melo. Good morning. Yes, actually, malapit tayo doon sa 1 million jobs, but this lockdown, of course, hindi nakakatulong sa 1 million jobs. The 1 million jobs will happen. Baka ma-delay lang because of the lockdowns. The jobs still exist, especially doon sa manufacturing, sa construction, sa BPO na tinatawag natin, where it is probably bababa ng konti yung tourism and hotels. But for the major job-generating industries, it will continue with possible delays. So, yun, pinagtutulungan. I'd like to thank all the different industries pinagtutulungan doon sa 1 million jobs. But I've been listening to the earlier discussions. That vaccination is really key. It's really key to our economic recovery and rebound, as well as also protecting the employees. Alam mo, sa aming kumpanya, especially in my company, my productivity is out the door. My efficiency is already out the door. Ang pinaka-importante sa amin talaga is the health and well-being of our employees. Yun ang number one. We have work from home. Do you think it's efficient or productive? No, it's not. But I might be able to squeeze 70%, 60%, 80% output productivity. So during this time, it's very difficult and challenging for companies in all the industries. Napakahirap ngayon. Whether you are a first world country, a third world country, I tell you, look at Israel having the challenges, the United States, and also here in the ASEAN. So lahat tayo, I believe we take care of Filipinos, we take care of the Philippines the best way we can, and we have a lot of talented people here. Regarding lockdowns, I don't believe in lockdowns also. The vaccine is not foolproof, but the discipline of the Filipinos is important, combined with the wearing of masks and not necessarily face shields, but the mask and the distancing. Napaka-importante. So kami sa mga business community, we are strapping ourselves for I won't say unproductive year, because you survived this year or last year, you are productive. We're preparing for what could potentially happen in the future. So, yun, maraming salamat, Melo.
Okay,
Maraming salamat.
thank you, Perry. At least may assurance tayo, Jess, sa inyong grupo, sa ICC. Are we having the number of investors into the country, because they say the economy has gone down. It has gone rock bottom.
Well, I would doubt that it will only follow when we have a lot of lockdowns. You will have some hesitancy. Hindi lang sa bakuna nag-hesitate ang mga tao, pati yung mga prospective investors. And I know this personally because I have investors that have already leased some property, and some have already put in some money. And yet, because of these lockdowns and the difficulties of the pandemic, that they are, temporary, I hope it's temporary, stop the negotiations or willing to let go of the initial investments. But then again, Melo, I would like to, nakita ko si Perry Ferrer is here. I'd like also to give credit to where credit is due. Because when the Philippine Chamber, nagmungkahi ang Philippine Chamber sa gobyerno, at ito'y pinirmahan naman ng isang order, yung tungkol sa mga satellites. Si Perry ang namamahala dyan. Ang akin lang sana'y what my wish is ma-expedite yung mga negotiations and discussions sa DICT, dahil ito mga satellite will be brought to unserved communities, para magkaroon ng mga internet, wifi, magkaroon ng mga LMS, mga learning management systems, magkaroon ng ease of doing business na nahihirapan dahil dito sa kahinaan ng ating infrastructure. Marami na ang programang nakasulat na ready to go, na siguro makakatulong lalong-lalo na sa mga work from home, kasi nabanggit nga merong mga problema pa, mahina ng wifi o nagbe-breakdown ng wifi, nasisira ang trabaho. Sa aming nga opisina, kami nagbibigay ng wifi sticks sa mga empleyado para tuloy-tuloy yung mga kailangan nilang gawin. Pero hindi naman lahat ng mga kumpanya makakapag-afford yan on a regular basis. Kaya ito, sana yung satellite natin, probably kung pahihintulutan mo, Perry, can you mention about that satellite programs? Because ito yung mga, but at this time, siguro dapat binibida ng gobyerno, at lalong pinag-iigting, na kasi itong makakatulong because this pandemic will be with us for so many more years. At definitely we need the necessary infrastructure, and that is more infrastructure that deals with communication. Camelo, pagsalitain natin si Perry tungkol dun sa mga satellites, yung sistema.
Yes. Paano yun? Magsisenador na yata yung DICT secretary.
Hindi bale kasi ang mga kausap naman yung sa baba.
Yun kung alam nila trabaho nila.
Siyempre, yung mga techie ang kausap mo.
Okay. Alam ni Perry yan. Si Perry will tell you.
Yes?
Yes. Thank you Thank you, Jess, for that introduction. Alam nyo, ang ginagawa natin dito through the initiatives of PCCI, because we know that during this pandemic, madaming nag-online, e-commerce, online transactions, e-businesses. But it was very limited only kung saan may signal. Yung online education, nahirapan ng mga estudyante natin because hindi constant yung signal nila sa internet or Wi-Fi. So meron kaming programa through collaboration of the government, industry, and private enterprises na mabigyan ng internet, reliable, fast internet, yung mga unserved areas or hindi nakakatanggap ngayon ng internet, whether it's an island, sa mga probinsya natin. Naniniwala kami dito sa industry na ang success, ang recovery ng Pilipinas is not limited to urban areas or NCR, Calabar Zone, or Cebu. Dapat ang buong Pilipinas ang guminhawa. So nagkaroon ng programa ang the Philippine Chamber and its affiliated chambers na magkaroon ng reliable internet via satellite sa unserved or underserved areas. And the best thing about this, Melo, is dapat affordable. Hindi affordable ng taga Maynila. Dapat affordable doon sa probinsya. So the rates which we are able or we were able to work with some private sector and satellite providers are affordable. How affordable? It is like having a Jollibee dinner, the cost of a Jollibee dinner per month, yun lang rate. So ganoon kamura and reliable using the satellite system. So with this program, our objective is to spread the recovery and the rebound of the Philippines nationwide. So wag lang dito kasi madami sa mga probinsya, rural areas, mga islands natin na we want them also to benefit from the digitalization program ng Pilipinas. So yan ang sinasabi namin ni Director Jess, and also to spread the wealth throughout the country and towards the ambition 2040 na no Filipino will be poor by 2040. Yun lang ang ambition programa namin. Thank you.
All right.
Melo,
yes.
May I add, itong programa to, pag naayos na sa DICT at ma-roll out ito, this will be a benchmark. Hindi lang dahil doon sa mura at affordable, no? Pag sinabi, kayo sa isang satellite, makakakuha kayo ng 20 Mbps. 20 Mbps ang makukuha nyo, hindi up to na pagdating ng panahon nasa 1 Mbps o baka lower pa ang nakukuha. It becomes a benchmark. Magtataka ngayon, no? Bakit nagagawa ito doon sa mga unserved communities? Marahil maging benchmark ito na pwedeng ibaba yung dito sa urban areas. I mean, in time you will see the difference, no? At lahat makikinabang, especially at this time of pandemic that will be with us for a long time. Thank you.
Very good. The top 3 causes of death in the country, according to Butch Guerrero in 2020, is ischemic heart diseases, 105,110 or 17% of the total deaths in the country. Neoplasms or cancer, 66,180 deaths or 10.8% of the total. And cerebrovascular diseases, 64,100 deaths or 10.5% of the total. Butch, hindi mo sinama yung namatay sa gutom. Pero anyway, let's find out later. Attorney Sunny Matula, sa manggagawa po, sa hanay natin.
Hi. Oo, maganda yung sinabi ni Mr. Perry sa recovery ng employment. Pero ang aming sinasabi lang dyan na sa maraming konsultasyon na ginawa doon sa National Employment Recovery Strategy, ay aming dinidiinan na dapat yung mga manggagawa, yung trade union, ay dapat magpa-participate. Ang lamentation ng mga manggagawa nitong sa Executive Order 140 ay wala man lang partisipasyon ang mga manggagawa. So, ang nangyayari dito, government agency itong task force lahat. Nabanggit yung mga employer pero yung mga manggagawa ay baliwala dito sa employment strategy nila ito. Sa nakaraang mga administrasyon, nakikita natin yung partisipasyon ng employer at ng workers. Ano mang mga national employment strategy na ginagawa ng pamahalaan. So mula pa panahon ni Marcos, ni Cory, ni Ramos, ni GMA, ni Aquino.
Si Erap, sama mo na si Erap.
As your time na si Erap eh.
Right na.
Oo, pero may mga partisipasyon ng mga manggagawa doon. Pero itong sa panahon ni Duterte, baliwala ang mga manggagawa, walang papel na binibigay. Ganun din ang nangyari sa maraming mga tripartite bodies na nawala ang papel ng mga manggagawa tulad ng Social Security Commission. Walang trade union representation diyan. Yung Employees Compensation Commission.
Kung meron kayong trade union leader na taga Davao, baka na-appoint.
Maski taga Davao, wala eh. May mga sumuporta. May mga sumuporta kay Duterte ng mga trade union leaders. In-endorse to pa namin yan, pero walang na-appoint na trade union leaders sa policy making na tulad ng SSS, ng ECC o ng
So, Sani.
So, para bang takot sila sa mga manggagawa na mag-participate sa decision making.
So, Sani, ang sinasabi mo talagang totoo yung kasabihang nasa huli ang pagsisisi, no? Parang ganun.
May mga manggagawa, may mga trade union na sumuporta dito sa administrasyon na. Hindi, ang FFW, iba yung sinuportahan eh. Pero gusto sana namin yung representasyon ng mga trade union. Pero dito, ay may mga trade union na hindi kinikilala o hindi talaga kaaway ang pagtingin ng gobyernong ito sa mga manggagawa.
Okay, may feedback dito. I don't know who will react, ano? In a military perspective, we are only enhancing our trenches and walls, but we are not improving our weapons. Puro tayo lockdown pero hindi man lang pinalalakas ang kapasidad ng ating healthcare delivery system. Palaging puno ang ospital dahil kulang nga. And of course, if we shut down, businesses are shutting down the supply and finances for this so-called war. Would you care to react to that? Serge?
Sorry, nagte-text lang ako. Can you repeat the question?
Oo. Sa military perspective daw, we are only enhancing our trenches and walls, but we are not improving our weapons. Puro tayo lockdown, pero hindi man lang pinalalakas ang kapasidad ng ating healthcare delivery system. Palaging puno ang ospital dahil kulang nga. And of course, if we shut down businesses, we are shutting down the supply and finances for this so-called war. Your thoughts?
Okay. Let's look at the numbers pagka nagla-lockdown tayo, no? 150 billion a week. Tapos wala pa rin yung 30 billion na sweldo ng mga non-essentials na hindi nakakapasok na estimate ng DTI 30 billion ang nawawala rin sa mga nagtatrabaho hindi makapasok. At yun, hindi lang doon sa August 6 to 20, no? Nag-umpisa yun, July 31 pa hanggang August 5, wala nang pinapasok sa mga iba na restaurant, yung mga nawala yung alfresco dining, nawala inside there. Doon, 11 billion a day ang cost. So, bakit kako, kung 11 billion a day, ang namamatay dito sa Metro Manila is about 2,000, yung mga nag-severe cases, 2005. Tingnan mo yung, sa tama yung sabi ni Boss Guerrero, 2005, ibabalik mo sa zero, ang ginastos mo 11 billion, magkano yun? Very roughly, para matanggal mo isang mamamatay sa COVID, para mapababa mo yon, parang very roughly 200 million or 300 million per person eh. Eh kung gagastahin mo yon sa healthcare system natin, na hindi ganoon ka masyadong yun yung hindi pa yun yung namamatay yung 11 billion ginagastos mo sa lockdown para ma-prevent yung dadaming cases sa Metro Manila na 2005, no? Ang cost nun, mga 200 million per head, no, na ibabawa. Kung gagastahin mo yung 200 million na yon sa healthcare system natin, can you imagine, baka wala nang mamatay sa TB, wala nang mamamatay sa transplant, wala nang mamamatay sa laki ng wala nang wala nang magkakaroon ng mental problem siguro kung 200 million. Yun na sinasabi, tama si Boots hindi balansyado yung pagtingin natin. At nakakagulat nga, akala namin yung pera wala. Nung lumabas nga yung investigasyon na ang DOH di binabayaran nito mga hospital, tapos yung mga may mga pribilehiyo hindi nababayaran, malaking bagay yon. So, ang sinasabi namin, parang hindi, kaya kami takot na takot dyan sa lockdown dahil nahihirapan talaga ang mga tao. Ang lockdown, sabi nga nila, bakit teka sa ganitong bayan, nagla-lockdown sila in spite of the fact na, doon, hindi kailangan na ayuda ng tao doon. May mga insurance na
May mechanism sila.
Oo, may mechanism sila. Tayo, pag nag-lockdown ka rito, maraming mamamatay sa gutom, maraming nawawala ng dignidad dahil napipilitan mamalimos, mga tao na alam mo namang gusto magtrabaho, hindi makatrabaho. Yun ang sinasabi namin.
Okay.
Yung allocation ng dapat ayusin.
Okay. Attorney Sani Matula, I have to ask you this. I asked si General Charlie, no? Yung ating vaccine czar. Magkano ba natin binili, no? Charlie Galvez, yung mga bakuna. Ang sabi niya, may confidentiality clause sapagkat may negosasyon pang nagaganap. Na-deliver na yung mga bakuna. Aren't they obliged to tell us how much they paid for all the vaccines we bought?
Ay, dapat malalaman sana yan ng taong bayan kasi public transactions yan. At tayo ay may karapatan bilang mga mamamayan na malaman kung ano ang ginagawa ng ating gobyerno. Hindi naman pwedeng top secret yan. At kinakailangan na itago, hindi naman national security secret yan na dapat itago. So palagay ko ay may misappreciation ata yung ating mga tao sa gobyerno kung ano yung dapat ibigay na impormasyon sa publiko at ang hindi dapat ibigay. Pero itong pagbili ng vaccine, palagay ko ang publiko ay may karapatan na malaman kung magkano ito.
Okay. We will have time for questions from our colleagues in the media. Si Othel Campos, si Bernie Magkilat ay nasa linya. Bernie and Othel of Manila Standard Today and Bernie of Manila Bulletin, you have questions, please go ahead. Please unmute yourselves and I will allow you to ask your questions. Please go ahead. Bernie?
Hello. Yeah. Hello, Melo.
Yes, go ahead.
Question for Mr. Ferrer. Sir, you mentioned that the 1 million jobs commitment will be delayed. How delayed po ang commitment natin and when do you think this will be achieved? And please also share the reason why this will be delayed. Thank you po.
Perry? Question for you, Perry. Hello? Wala si Perry. Mahalaga pa naman yun. Yes, please, go ahead. Please unmute.
Perry's there.
Yeah. Paki-unmute lang. Okay. One more time. Okay. Go ahead.
Sir, what was the question? Sorry.
Okay. Bernie, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Question to Mr. Ferrer. Yeah, you mentioned that the 1 million jobs commitment by end of this year will be delayed. How soon how delayed would that be? When do you think that we can achieve the 1 million? And what are the reasons that the target is delayed?
Thank you, Bernie, for that question. At this moment, as of August now, we're looking at a 30-day or until January next year. But we are meeting every week to see if we can compensate or recover that the loss of the lockdown on the 1 million jobs. Whereas our target, our mindset is still trying to complete the 1 million jobs this year. But indications are because of the lockdowns or the, sabi nga natin, yung mga quarantine, there is difficulty, especially in the transport of the employees. One of the biggest factors there is the vaccination. I think the various chambers are getting a program to vaccinate workers. The second, also equally important, is the transport or the travel of worker to be or employee to be to the work site or to where they will work. For example, here in Calabarzon, now we're looking at hiring from Quezon and Bicol, but because of the various protocols of the LGUs or barangay, nahihirapan ang mga potential workers to travel. That's why we're working with NERS, the National Employment Recovery Task Force, to be able to issue and hopefully magkaroon ng parang health travel pass para sa mga manggagawa. Especially for the construction industry, which is the biggest generator of the 1 million jobs, there is a lot of potential workers or qualified workers dito sa southern part of the Philippines that we want to bring them here to Luzon, which has a lot of infrastructure and construction projects. Nahihirapan sila because of the protocols on how to bring them. So yun, Bernie, we're working on that to streamline the movement of the potential workers. So we're looking at a 1-month delay, but till January 2022. But since it's so close to achieving the 1 million jobs, sana maitungtong pa natin dito sa 2021 yung commitment ng buong 1 million jobs group. Thank you very much.
Follow up, Bernie?
Okay. At present, how many newly hired workers already have been recorded by your group?
Unofficially, because by the way, Microsoft is assisting the ECOP group in having a more streamlined capturing mechanism for the new workers. Ngayon, ang estimate lang namin ngayon is we are around the 260,000 to 280,000. But that is a ballpark and estimate, not official. Hopefully, we will get a software-driven mechanism to be able to capture each and every jobs that is created. That is in the works ngayon. But ngayon, it's all manual system. Down to the members of the various signatories of the 1 million job group. So unofficially, nandun pa rin. So kami sa 260 to 270,000 so far since June.
Okay. Hindi ko lang alam, Perry, kung kasama sa magkakatrabaho yung karaniwang nagkakatrabaho pag eleksyon, yung rent a crowd. Di ba?
When it comes, nako, alam mo, after candidacy filing sa October, baka madaming dumami yan. Yung mga,
okay.
But No, hindi kasama.
Hindi kasama.
Hindi kasama sa amin sa at this point hindi kasama yung anything related doon sa election or anything political.
Yeah.
We are basically on the hotels, restaurants, the BPO industry, manufacturing, and the construction industry.
Okay. Paano kasi marami raw na dapat may trabaho pagdating ng election season, kaya lang na-limit yung pagkuha sa kanila dahil sa naging troll. Di ba? So sa halip na magkaroon ka ng 100, isang troll lang yun, 100 na yung output. Di ba? Well, that's another issue. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Othel from Manila Standard today, got your questions? Please go ahead. Othel. Othel, you're still there. I know. Go ahead with your questions. Okay. Baka may problema yung kanyang internet connection. Anyway, all right. It's about time for us to get the messages of our guests. There might have been questions that I failed to ask. Let's start with Butch Guerrero. What would you want to tell us? I may have failed to ask you some other concerns. What would you want to tell the audience and the media?
Okay. Perry was here, no? Late yata pumasok. Hello, Perry. Let's look at the numbers. First, Melo. And if we properly churn out the numbers and analyze it, maybe we can allocate our resources properly, especially when our resources are very limited. And para mas maraming masasalba and mas marami tayong magagawa, let's analyze the numbers properly. And if the numbers come in, let's question where it came from so that we can get an accurate description of what is happening in the environment. Yun lang po, Melo. Salamat po.
Thank you. Perry, pahabol. Perry, you may wish to make pahabol. Nawala na si Perry. Jess from ICC. Yes?
Yeah. Sa akin, I hope that we have greater mobility, in all sectors. Ngayon, if vaccination indeed is the global solution of the pandemic, as we push for vaccination, let's give premium. Kung magla-lockdown ka rin at wala naman kayong magagawa pag ni-lockdown yan, you give some premium to the vaccinated by giving them mobility. At ang i-lockdown mo yung mga unvaccinated, considering that according to DOH, more than 90% of those that are hospitalized are the unvaccinated. So siguro kung nala-lockdown mo yung mga unvaccinated, bababa ang sa mga yung clogging down of the facilities of the hospital and other clinics. So if indeed you're looking at vaccination as the key in trying to reopen the economy, you make sure that you give them mobility. Kasi kung wala rin, hindi makakagalaw yan, walang yung consumption economy natin will suffer, ang operation sa manufacturing will suffer. Kasi wala namang premium talaga yung sa mga bakunado.
Okay. Serge, Mr. SOL?
Well, medyo gusto ko lang sanang emphasize yung isang item na hindi natin na-take up, matagal na namin sinasabi. Kami, alam natin seryosong kalagayan natin. At kung minsan, hindi kami maniwala seryosong kalagayan dahil meron kami mga sinasuggest na hindi kinoconsider. Isa na doon, yung magmula pa nung araw, sinasabi na namin, bakit ba hindi natin suspend yung Data Privacy Act? Hindi naman yung buong data pa. Yun lang aspect do sa COVID na hindi mo pwedeng i-divulge yung merong on certain instances, no? One example is nung merong isang OFW na lumanding galing sa Hong Kong na merong variant na bago, nakalusot, hindi nila napansin, pumunta sa Ilocos yata, bago nila nahanap several days, at least 1 week yata or 10 days, ano? Tapos nung finally matunton yung mga nakasalamuhan niya, hinahanap pa rin after a few weeks, no? Kung yun, binigyan sa Data Privacy Act na ikaw mismo sa istasyon, sa istasyon ng radyo, in-announce mo the same day, o ito si Juana de la Cruz, positive yan, mag-report ka kaagad at ikaw ay positive, ano? Sana within the day, hindi na kumalat yun, no? Meron pa isang example, mga 2 weeks ago, meron dalawang tumakas na naka-isolation, nag-mauling, ano? Hindi rin na ano yun. Nung marami na nahawa by the time that they were. Yun ang sinasabi namin. Alam mo, noong magkaroon ng bayani ng report noon sa Sulong, Pilipinas, nagulat ako. Ang ginagamit pala nating contact tracer, according to the report, 245,000 ang contact tracers na ginagamit natin. Tapos sa Bayanihan 2, nag-request sila ng additional 50,000 contact tracer with a budget of 5 billion. No? Na after 2 months, wala na raw. Nagre-request na naman another for 80,000. Hindi ko alam nung nabigyan ng budget yun. And then eventually, pati Dole, nag-contact tracing na rin. No? So, ang ginagastos natin sa contact tracing, billion. Now, look at it. Saan man ang gagaling yung mga lumalabas na mga positive cases? Hindi ba yan sa testing? Ang capacity natin to test, sinasabi na dapat 150,000 a day. But our capacity now, I think, went up to about 60,000 a day. Hindi ba dun, ala pa ako nabalitaan kasing kilala na nag-contact, na nag-positive o namatay sa COVID, na nabalitaan mo lang kung sinong contact tracer Ha? At yung palagay ko, yung positive cases, hindi naman ang gagaling sa contact tracing yan Most probably sa barangay, most probably do sa testing centers na testing silang positive. So hindi mo kailangan hanapin ng marami dyan dahil lumalabas naman sa testing. Pag nakita mo ang positive, hindi mo madadala sa hospital. So ang sinasabi namin, kung seryoso ang kalagayan natin, bakit pa masyado sacred yung portion na yon? Sinasabi lang naman namin, pagka yung barangay captain, meron siya na testing, hindi mo kailangan i-lockdown yung buong barangay. Kung yung sa kalye lang na yun, si Tony Antonio yung sabihin mo sa buong barangay para iwasan siya at para siya hindi naman lumalakad.
Okay.
At kung doon sa municipality, ganun din. Bakit nila ayaw pansinin yun? Makakatulong sa gastos yun, mababawasan ng bilyon-bilyon ng gastos, makakatulong din sa mamamatay.
Okay. All right. Pero nais ko ibalita sa inyo, kung nag-positive yung pamangkin ko at nadala na sa isolation facility, may dumating na 3 tao dito sa aming compound. Nagko-contact tracing.
Mhm.
Sabi ko nga hallelujah. Dahil nung nag-positive yung anak ko noong Marso 17, hanggang ngayong araw na ito, walang kumatok para tanungin kami, kumusta kayo? Kami pa naghatid sa ospital ng anak namin. So, tingnan natin kung ano ba talaga ang performance ng ating mga ahensya na dapat kumilos. Pero, Mr. SOL, let me ask you, yung bang mga sulat nyo nakarating?
Nakakarating. Pero meron yung ina-action na nila by accident siguro, pero marami doon sa kagaya sa traffic, yung mass transportation, itong contact tracing na to, hindi sinasagot yan. Hindi ko na babanggitin yung ivermectin, hindi ko na babanggitin yan. Ibang usapan yan. Pero hindi nila kinikibo kaya nga sabi namin, sabi mo nga kanina, marami sa cabinet members ngayon na sana na very qualified, very na gusto sana namin tumakbo. Pero hindi ang mga tatakbo yung yung ibang hindi naman sabi nga naman yun, hindi ayaw mo tumakbo baka ganti naman tayo.
Kung manalo. Yun ang problema mo.
Yun ang problema.
Oo. Dahil maraming nagtatanong sa akin na taxi driver. Ang tanong, sino ho ba susuportahan? Sabi ko, simple lang. Kung gumanda buhay nyo, di suportahan nyo yung continuity. O, di ba? Pero kung hindi, maghanap kayo ng iba. O, yun. Yung mga ganong issue. Anyway, thank you, Mr. SOL. Attorney Sunny Matula, bago ako magtungo kay Mr. Anton Sayo at kay Roda at kay Dr. Joanne. Kanya yung last words dahil siya doktor. Sunny.
Okay. Oo, yung panawagan pa rin namin sa gobyerno ay pabilisin at padamihin pa yung nababakunahan. Kasi mababa pa rin yung nabakunahan. Noong isang linggo, nakita kong datos ay 12 million ata yung 2 beses na. At 14 million yung isang beses pa. So mga 26 million pa lamang yun. So majority pa sa mga Pilipino ang hindi nabakunahan. Ako nga, hindi pa nabakunahan, pero gusto kong magpabakuna.
Bakit?
Dito sa... Wala pa dito sa A4, wala pa sa Binyang
Sani, baka naman underage ka, Sani.
Ha?
Baka underage.
A4. Wala pang A4 sa amin. Kaya sabi ko, dyan lang ako sa Maynila magpapakuna para mabilis. Siyempre, ang pangalawa namin panawagan ay siyempre sana yung mga manggagawa, yung mga employer na kasalan na isali sa mga decision making tulad ng interagency para hindi kami magulat sa mga desisyon at bigla na lang lumabas yung desisyon na ganito na pala tayo. At siyempre yung sa National Task Force na National Employment Recovery Strategy ng pamahalaan, nakaparticipate kami dyan sa konsultasyon. Pero nang lumabas yung executive order, hindi kami kasali. So yun ang aming panaghoy sa gobyerno nito na hindi nangonsulta sa mga importanteng sektor ng lipunan na dapat mapakinggan. Tulad ni Commissioner June Luis Ortiz, ang kanyang mga sulat ay hindi wala nga maski reply, wala eh. Yung sa trade union ay mga maski reply man lang wala. So yun ang problema ng ating pamahalang ito. At siyempre dahil ganyan ang aming karanasan sa gobyerno ito, ay nag-iisip kami na siguro palitan na ang gobyernong ito. At siyempre sa trade union ay pinag-usapan namin na pwede ba na yung trade union ay maging kasali sa decision making sa 2022. Kaya isang linggo, nag-usap kami ng maraming trade union leaders, mga susuportahan para sa darating na 2022. At siyempre, tinitingnan din namin yung kapasidad ng mga trade union leaders na sumali sa 2022 election.
Okay, thank you. May suggestion ako sa inyo, Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. at Sunny Matula. Kung yung mga sulat nyo hindi nasasagot, idaan nyo kay Senator Bongo para makarating sa Pangulo. May rhyme, Senator Bongo para makarating sa Pangulo. O yun. Dahil baka nandun ang problema, hindi nakakarating. Okay.
Ay, Belo, masigit ko lang. Siguro si Sunny Matula will transfer. Dahil sa pare-pareho ng hirap ang dinadanas na employer at saka yung mga tao, for the first time, dati sa pandemic na to, ang kooperasyon ng labor at saka work at saka mga employers, napakaganda ngayon. Wala kaming problema na hindi namin napapag-usapan dahil nakikita natin na pare-pareho tayong experience yan. Lahat tayo nahihirapan, so nagkakasundo kami sa maraming bagay.
Okay. That's nice,
Tama yan.
Mahalagang bagay.
Wala kaming notice of strike ngayon. Lahat preventive mediation.
Mahalagang bagay yan. Nagkakasundo kayong mga manggagawa at mga employer. Sabi ko like that. Yes?
Melo, kasama ang mga nasa kaliwa ay nakikibagay sa amin tungkol laban sa lockdown at ang nararanasan nila sa kahirapan na. Magugulat ka, nagsasama-sama yan dahil marami rin ako nakakausap ng mga leaders ng mga sa KMU at iba pa.
Okay. Ang sabi kasi, meron daw kwento ngayon eh. Mamatay na ika, may pera. Wag naman. O, di ba? Mr. Anton Sayo, your final words, please.
Yung ano lang, mabanggit lang mabilis yung sa education, no? Yung napapag-usapan natin, yung work from home, yung upskilling and reskilling, maraming programa ang ECOP, PhilExport, PCCI, and I hope Eric can talk about the digital transformation and the various courses we have on free courses, no? Ang gusto ko lang sana bigyan ng diin, yung ating mga workers, managers, supervisors, yung in their quest to upskill and reskill, bigyan din ng diin yung pagturo sa mga anak nila, no? Magbigyan ng konting panahon, tulungan sila, lalo na doon sa mga, alam ko medyo mahirap, yung mga science, technology, and mathematics, yung mga ganyan, medyo mahirap bisitahin ulit at makitungo sa mga anak natin. Pero yun ho yung weakness na lumalabas. At kami sa employer sector, we worry about the workers of tomorrow. No? So we need to project what kind of industries we need to support, and we need to have the people that would make that happen. Lagi namin napapag-usapan yung ating population dividend, yung so-called we have this 40 million productive, able-bodied, but we need to skill them and upskill them. Wag lang ho natin kalimutan yon in our own individual homes, no? In that skilling and upskilling happens right at home. Yun lang.
Thank you. You know, Anton, the problem with work from home is when you don't have a home you can call your own. So how can you work from home? You don't have a home of your own. Anyway, Miss Rhoda Kaliwara, please.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity, Melo. Lahat po tayo ngayon ay nakakaharap sa isang matinding pagsubok. Dumaan na tayo sa maraming bagyo pero naiiba itong pandemya na to. But I do agree with President Sola dun sa pagiging transparent sana ngayon. This is the time siguro na ibang mga policies can be set aside and be transparent sa totoong nangyayari, saan napupunta ang mga pera, mga tipong ganon. And I'd like to take this opportunity also na to commend ang ating mga business leaders, sina President Sol, ang PCCI at saka ang ECOP sa hindi lang pagbibigay ng hinaing, pag-express ng hinaing, kundi pagbigay ng mga rekomendasyon kung paano makakatulong sa mga, hindi lang sa mga employers, kundi sa mga employees as well. Yung livelihood na napaka-importante para sa Pilipinas nga naman, para sa mga mamamayan. Now, na-mention din kanina ni Perry yung productivity is out of the door para sa kanilang kumpanya. That's very commendable na ang priority nila is mga tao pa rin, which is dapat lang naman sa mga lahat ng mga employers because people are the most important assets, di ba, ng ating kumpanya, and their general welfare should always be the priority. Nandiyan yung general labor standards na non-negotiable kasi we're talking about productivity dito. So hindi dapat maging less priority yung general labor standards, not negotiable as I said. Ang general labor standards, pagpapatubad ng general labor standards, kasama na dyan yung tamang salaries and benepisyo ng mga tao and providing them with safe and healthy environment. Digitalization programs ng isang kumpanya, pag-improve siguro ng mga systems, processes and policies, training na na-mention ni my good friend Anton, reskilling and upskilling ng mga tao, and of course not to forget yung mental health programs din na pwede rin nating ma-implement sa ating mga kumpanya. Now, itong pandemic, we know that this would end. Matatapos din to, though it would take time as mentioned by Mr. Jess Varela. Pero andyan pa rin ho ang isa pang haharapin natin, itong mga technological advancements, artificial intelligence. Isang napakalaking disruption yan na pwede rin nating harapin later on, na wherein maraming employment opportunities, maraming trabaho ang pwedeng mawala at pwedeng palitan ng mga robots. Okay, so sana magtulungan ang employers, employees at ang gobyerno for a better Philippines. So sana pag-pray natin yung mga leaders natin na susunod na at tuloy-tuloy tayo na magtulungan talaga, kooperasyon, suportahan at matinding prayers. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you. Let's hear it from the doctor. Teka, pakibukas nga, Butch, ng iyong camera para maganda yung picture natin. Yes, doctor.
Yes, again, Sir Melo, maraming salamat po for inviting me today. And I agree with what Sir Jess mentioned kanina na this pandemic may be here for a while. And from that statement ni Sir Jess, I would like to give my 3 insights into from a mental health perspective. So number 1, given that statement of Sir Jess, then let's always remember that change is a normal part of life. Similar to stress. Ang change po, diba, ang sabi nga sa popular song, there is nothing as constant as change. In fact, every day we are evolving. We are learning new things. Kahit ako, hirap ako with virtual conferencing before, but we learn through the process. Every day we are evolving into better versions of ourselves. Number 2, let's embrace this change rather than resist it. Kasi kung i-resist natin siya, then it will be difficult for us to move forward. So let's embrace this change. Use it as an opportunity for our growth, both personally and professionally. And lastly po, again, collaboration is the key always. In all aspects naman, communication, open lines of communication is always the best way to go. Always remember po na lahat tayo, walang pinipiling gender, socioeconomic status, age group, wala. We are all going through these changes now, through this new normal and pandemic, as we are all going through this together as one community. Kaya wala pong iwanan, always walang iwanan, no one left behind. So with that po, I'm sure na we can always help our mga employees po, our team, to always give their best in their work, in their productivity, and to enhance po their performance in their own jobs and roles, be it in the home or in the yung physical offices po nila. Thank you very much po.
Have a nice day. And let me end our discussions. Thank you to Ms. Rhoda Caliwara, Mr. Anton Sayo, Mr. Jess Varela, Sunny Matula, Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. Kasama rin natin si Butch Guerrero at si Dr. Joanne Rifarial. Nakasama rin natin si Perry Ferrer kanina. Pero let me end our discussions with a simple quote. A united humanity will be able to confront the many troubling problems of the present time. From the menace of terrorism to the humiliating poverty in which millions of human beings live, from the proliferation of weapons to the pandemics and the environmental destruction which threatens the future of our planet. And the quote comes from Pope Benedict XVI. Thank you very much, Anton and Rhoda and Dr. Joanne. We will be inviting you again to focus on education. What kind of graduates are we gonna have kung ganito yung mix natin? Ganon din kay Sunny at kay Jess at ganon din kay Mr. Sergio Ortiz Luis Jr. Please make yourselves available. And please pray that our RT-PCR today will turn out negative. Otherwise, baka ma-quarantine kami. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Maraming salamat. Till next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.